Hello and welcome to another installment of me judging the hear-me-outs of my lovely viewers. Today we have a selection of 16 entries, and because no matter how I slice it, people are going to have an opinion on how wild or mundane a given entry actually is, why not just annoy everyone by splitting them into 6 distinct categories? If you enjoy this video or just want to argue with me about whether or not an entry counts as a hear-me-out, drop a comment down below. In my personal video, I ranked the entries by asking how the stock character of a generic sweet old grandma would respond to me bringing them home, but here we're returning to an internet-friendly number list that goes as follows. Number 1. Not a hear-me-out. Exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to dismiss this as a hear-me-out, and I will explain why. Number 2. The shallow end. We've entered the pool of unusual attraction. We can still feel the bottom under our feet, and we might even be wearing arm floaties, but let no one push you to go deeper before you're comfortable. Number 3. A respectable choice. Now we're getting somewhere a little more unusual, more dangerous, something that will have most people going, huh? Number 4. Understood the assignment. You know what you're about. You are a card-carrying member of this gang. Number 5. Braver than any US Marine. If number 4 is card-carrying members, your card is platinum, premium air miles on that thing. You've signed up to the newsletter, hell, you often write for it. Number 6. Psychic damage. Each time I do one of these videos going forward, I will choose one entry that gave me a physical reaction upon reading it, because I may be a player in this game, but I am not a grandmaster of it. I'm trying to reach 100k subscribers by the end of the year, so if you enjoy this content and want to stay up to date, you know what to do. Before we begin, please keep in mind that nothing I say here is meant with malice or sincere judgment. Everyone is weird to someone. With that being said, let's get into our entries, starting with Not a Hear-Me-Out. Admiral Yularen from Star Wars. This is just an older military man with a mustache and a British accent, and I don't want to immediately paint someone with this brush, but you're not giving me a lot of options here when your idea of a hear-me-out is an authoritative older man. To be clear, not a judgment, not at all. Older women can boss me around all day if they want to, but that doesn't make them a hear-me-out. If you want to include the fact that he becomes part of the fascist regime of the Galactic Empire, then I could see where you're coming from, but purely on looks? Not a hear-me-out. Ultimecia from Final Fantasy VIII. All I'm getting from this is that you were into theatrical bitches and drag queens, which is really just saying the same thing twice, and the hair is giving me flashbacks to Rita Repulsa from Power Rangers, another dramatic queen. Again, not a judgment, I like a dramatic queen, and while she's significantly more outlandish than Yularen, she is ultimately still a conventionally pretty woman with a dress that barely covers her downstair retreat. However, she will appear again further down this list, so hold whatever argument you have at the ready. Trolls from World of Warcraft. I am simply too familiar with Warcraft to accept trolls as a hear-me-out in any sense. They are very much fleshed out as just regular people in the setting, barring the obvious beatings they take from the writers. Their physical appearance is not that off-putting. A lot of people would get over the tusks, and a whole lot more people would be very happy with how tall male trolls are in particular. I do, however, recognize that being so used to Warcraft means that I am wholly desensitized to people finding the various playable races, and others, attractive, which is why trolls are at the bottom of this section. The two-fingered hands and two-toed feet with a secret third toe on the heel would certainly weird people out, not to mention Zandalari trolls with their glowing eyes and skin studded with bony osteoderms. Their long limbs could be unsettling. Getting slapped in the face by ears when they turn their head is probably not dignified moments. Like, I get why someone would consider them a hear-me-out, I simply can't. The shallow end. Control-ending Shepard from Mass Effect 3. On one hand, Shepard's appearance in Mass Effect 3 is determined by you, and while you are certainly meant to see yourself in her, she has a litany of predetermined traits to make her a distinct character within the story. On the other hand, this entry is specifically for what becomes of Shepard in Mass Effect 3's Control ending, where Shepard's body is burned away and her consciousness ascends to a higher realm of existence. She is no longer constrained by the limits of mortality, and while we see her represented as we made her, that is not how the Catalyst looked. It's not how she looked in her final moments, and unused concept art gives some insight into how Control ending Shepard could have looked. So if we're going off fan designs that lean into the energy being inhuman biomech type of existence that favors looking skeletal or otherwise unsettling, yes, I can see this being a hear me out. You're on thin ice though, because it requires a lot of speculation and relying on material that is not technically canon. Kalani from Star Wars. It didn't take long for the robot lovers to show up, did it? Kalani is a cold, calculating droid intended to fill the role of a general. He is tactical, ruthless, and very focused, and has a somewhat menacing masculine voice.
You must order them to surrender. You pity him.
I pity your ignorance.
They too will suffer.
Were all those traits to be turned solely on you, combined with the obviously inhuman appearance of a cold mechanical body, well, I'm sure he could find ways to take someone apart. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Melina from Mortal Kombat. Now, this could so easily fall into not a hear me out. However, if you mean Melina with her full, unyassified shark mouth, then I agree that she qualifies. Most regular people will see her with the mask, be attracted, and then immediately run for the hills as soon as the mask comes off, because look at what she can do with it. But for people with taste, this is the whole point. It's the combination of being able to choke you out with her thighs and rip your throat out with her teeth like a pulled pork roast. A respectable choice. Savathun from Destiny 2. Savathun is one of the major villains in Destiny, being a god of the Hive, an insectoid race of aliens with a very necrotic vibe to them. She is specifically their god of lies, cunning, and trickery, and oh boy does she fulfill that role. Point is, though she is very much more a character than monster, i.e. something that cannot be spoken to or reasoned with, she lands here because she is still a thanatotic insect alien god with a three-eyed skull face, moth wings, and an articulated carapace. Come to think of it, it probably feels really nice to tap your nails against her chitin. Anyway, enjoy the deathly bug banging. SCP-049 from the SCP Foundation mythos. The Plague Doctor, like a few of the SCPs who get people hot and bothered, has suffered at times from what I like to call waifu-ification, where someone says their hear-me-out is some horrible monster, but then they whip out a version that's been turned into an anime waifu with breasts that make my back hurt just looking at them. Rest in pieces, 1471, you were spooky while it lasted. However, the Plague Doctor, as it is, with its organic robe and chitinous beak mask growing out of its humanoid body, its penchant for turning people into zombies in an attempt to cure them of a so-called pestilence, certainly makes for a deeply enigmatic and not wholly unsympathetic creature. The Doctor is capable of building rapport with people and being civil, right up until its pursuit of curing the pestilence is impeded. But maybe you like the idea of being medically experimented on and turned into a mindless, shuffling slave who doesn't have to think or worry about anything anymore. The Sea Emperor Leviathan from Subnautica. Well, you helped hatch its babies, so I guess that makes you the other parent? Now, considering it communicates telepathically with you, the Harkness test is passed with flying colors. This entity is very much a fully grown adult of its species and capable of consent. I just have two concerns here. The first is the size difference, which could be the entire point for you, but my second issue ties into that size difference because Sea Emperors are simultaneous hermaphrodites. You ever seen those D&D skits where someone seduces a dragon and the DM flips a coin to determine if the player is bottoming and then proceeds to roll a bunch of dice for bludgeoning damage? But maybe you want to be turned into a sleeve for a Sea Emperor's joystick. I'm not here to dictate your life. I'm just here to tell you what's going to happen. Understood the assignment. Werewolves from Skyrim. The werewolf is a classic choice for a hear-me-out, particularly if it's on the more feral, mindless, killing machine side of things, where control goes out the window as soon as a full moon hits. But that is often entirely the point for people who want to bang werewolves. I said this about people wanting to bang Deathclaws from Fallout 4, it's usually going to be about getting chased down and railed into next week, whether you want it or not. And I cannot stress it enough that the wanted or not part is in the context of a fantasy in which you can immediately stop everything if you want to. It relieves the shame and guilt someone might feel for being interested in sex, if enthusiastically wanting to engage in physical pleasure is something that you are told makes you dirty, degraded. You didn't chase the werewolf, it chased you. You were good and tried to run, oh no. But again, all of that in the context of a fantasy that you can turn off immediately, of living vicariously through the media we make. Alternatively, you could just be a furry. Cthulhu from the Lovecraft mythos. The reason he isn't in tier 5 is largely because Cthulhu feels kind of blunted as a horrific entity. He's so quintessential as a mascot of cosmic horror that he can be thrown into almost any context as a shorthand for spooky eldritch happenings or comedic juxtaposition. He feels too normalized, and I will link a video below that explains what I mean far better than I could. But taking Cthulhu, as he is, this would absolutely result in a one-way grippy sock vacation if it didn't send you to gods recently deleted. Or maybe the Eldritch God would simply keep you as a pretty trinket, mind shattered beyond all awareness of anything beyond the presence of your new keeper. That's probably the point, isn't it? Just get a collar next time. Nemesis from Resident Evil. An unthinking, unfeeling bioweapon built to obliterate that twink, obliterate anything in its path. The amount of times I have played Nemesis in Dead by Daylight and at least one of the survivors is obviously simping for me because I played their favorite tentacle husband Nemi is, well, it's not zero. Part of it will definitely come from the idea of this hulking brute of a creature showing more care and attention than anyone else as it ruins you, and another part is the idea of just getting absolutely destroyed by those tentacles and whatever weapon of mass destruction the Nemesis fans like to imagine he's packing. By all means, imagine away. You're definitely getting infected by the T-virus though, and I don't think that will dissuade anyone who is into this. In fact, that is likely just a bonus. Braver than any US Marine. Ultimecia's boss form from Final Fantasy VIII. See, you just had to wait until we were further along, because what in the Square Enix is this? I don't even really know where to focus my attention. The concave head of this body? The upside-down, humanish version of her tied up in the messiest shibari I've ever seen? The wings, the blades, the giant arms? I don't know what to say other than good luck. Coilhead from Lethal Company. Maybe this is my own bias showing for putting it this high, but the Weeping Angel mannequin combination almost landed this in tier 6 because of how much it unsettles me. Is it the helplessness of having no escape because it can move faster than you? Is it the featureless face, the otherwise inanimate nature of its body, the spicy imaginations of what it could do to you once it catches you? More power to you, but good lord. The Carrion Thing from Carrion. I have enough awareness to both understand this one and put it higher than the Coilhead because most people are going to ask, what the hell do you mean you want to fuck John Carpenter's The Thing? On a surface level, the appeal can be down to the tentacles, and more tentacles. It can be something capable of encompassing you completely, restraining your body until you can't move or escape, overpowering you with sensation. On a deeper level, there can be something about a creature insinuating itself into your body, making you part of it, the last sparks of your consciousness burning out as you become one with it, that just does something for you. Again, more power to you, but I am hurriedly walking in the other direction. Psychic damage. Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. Boy, I sure must! Where do I even begin? If you are unfamiliar with the story of I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, the long and short of it is that humans created an AI, it inadvertently gained sentience, freaked out in an envious rage because it had no body to experience the world, and instead of just creating a body for itself, the AI spitefully exterminated humanity save for 5 to torture ad infinitum for creating it. Am is a sadistic, tantrum-throwing monster who, instead of using his powers to solve his core issue, decided to destroy everything and keep a handful of people alive to torment for the rest of time. And when those people finally find a way to permanently die and escape him, Am intervenes to keep the last one alive, transforming him into a formless blob of misery that yearns to scream but has no mouth. On some level, I can understand if the desire is hinged on something having such utter and complete control over you that it can change your physical form on a whim and do whatever horrific things it wants to you. I don't personally get it, but I understand that that is something that works for some people. But seeing as a suggestion did make me screw my eyes shut and physically lean back from the computer as if something was thrown at my face, so like, congrats! Here's a star. And that's all we have for today. Be sure to leave your Hear Me Out suggestions down below, and if you would be so kind as to explain why a given character or creature does something for you, I would be ever so grateful. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below for the algorithm gods. Special shout out to my YouTube members and patrons who are all very handsome people. If you'd also like to be called a very handsome people, you can support what I do here or check out the link in the description. Members and tip jar patrons get their name in the credits, while patrons of the nerd tier will occasionally get behind the scenes content and video teasers. If you enjoy live streaming, I can be found over on Twitch, where I typically stream every Wednesday at 8 PM British time. But for now, don't forget to drink your water, take your medication, be kind to yourselves, and I will see you all next time.
You know that will never work. I'm a little